Well, welcome to the journey. It is your boy Journeyman Bell, aka Mr. 100, coming to you on this week as we are dealing with forgiveness starts with me, and we are dealing with part 2 of the mind. Earlier we covered the monitoring of the thoughts, monitoring of our mind, and today we're going to deal with the I, or the identity or identifying patterns. You know, patterns are defined as a consistent way of acting. So therefore, a lot of times, if we don't understand how to identify the patterns, we will never understand how to get to the root of what it takes to forgive. And a lot of times, patterns are connected to triggers, which we'll cover on this week, and things like that that lead us into why it's so hard for us to forgive. Have you ever just thought about for a minute of the things that happen in your life and then it just keep happening, and we call them cycles a lot of times? Have you ever just thought about for a minute of why does it keep happening this same way, and what does it take for me to finally get over this hump? Because I keep trying to solve my problem the same way. And if you don't pay attention or identify the patterns in your life, then you are going to deal with so many different elements that comes with trying to get better. So we're going to cover four key areas when we start dealing with patterns. We're going to cover with the patterns are often emotional, not logical. Patterns becoming more emotional than logical, because why? We respond to what hurts us. I'm guilty. I'm always quick to say I'm guilty of it. But those are the first things that come out, is that we don't think about and try and process. But if you don't pay attention to your patterns of discovering that your emotional place is from hurt, then you'll never ever understand how self-forgiveness will really work. Because a lot of times with these patterns and these emotions, we're not thinking. Because why? It's based on how it made us feel. We based everything off how it made us feel. And if you are not paying attention to your patterns of your emotions, then you're just going to continue to say, well, I ain't going to forgive them. I ain't worried about them. Or whatever. Because we're not paying attention. So important. How has that made you feel? What do you base it off of? Watch this. Watch your intensity. Listen, let me tell you something. I just got off the phone with my daughter, and we got to talking about some things, and immediately when I started talking about certain specific things in my life, the intensity came back again, which lets me know that I'm still working on a self-forgiveness place. See, I told y'all, your boy Journey is walking through the journey with you. I'm not walking it and just giving y'all stuff and just saying it. I had to identify myself, my own pattern with these situations that come in my life and how I respond to them. And I'm not thinking logically because my emotions are kicking in. And so bringing these emotional places in are elements of things we have to continue to work on. We have to continue to progress towards more discipline, more control, self-control, more temperance. Because listen, forgiveness is a choice. It's not just an emotional moment of feeling liberal or of feeling liberty, but it's also a realistic place that you have to decide every day. You have to develop a pattern. Develop a pattern for forgiveness. Are you developing that pattern? Watch this. Ask yourself, have I felt this way before? Another nugget. If you have, then where did it come from? Where else have you felt this types of intensity? Where else have you felt this? Let's get to the root of it, because a lot of times when people offend us, I say this often, a lot of times when we're being offended by people, we don't identify that it ain't the person that's offended us, but it happened somewhere else, whether it was a previous relationship, whether it was something that happened when we were children, whether it was a place that was broken before, but it didn't just start with where you're hurt at now. These places, these things that if we pay close enough attention to the pattern, we start identifying it, then we can see that a lot of things came before even this situation occurred, before what you're upset with now. So we have to understand patterns are often emotional, not logical. Number 2, remember this. Repetition indicates something is unresolved. We talked about the cycles. Repetition indicates something has not been resolved. So you keep dealing with this over and over. And like I said, I'm right here in the journey with you. I keep dealing with certain things when it comes to certain relationships, when it comes to certain people in my life and certain things in my life. I am still dealing with it. And so this is helping me identify the repeats in my life, because one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to repeat history. Nobody wants to continue to deal with cycles. But in order to stop the cycle or stop the patterns, you have to be truthful about what it is that continues to ignite these patterns, this repetitious place. And it's not getting resolved because you keep initiating yourself in it. You have to start discovering what needs to be changed. Watch this. Closure doesn't come from others, but from changing your response. That's a good nugget there. Closure does not come from others, but from changing your response. When you learn how to change how you respond to the things that hurt you, when you learn how to change your response, how you respond in the way you think about things. We're dealing with the mind still. When you learn how to change your response, then change your response, then you can change these unresolved situations in your life. Catch that. Watch this. Next point. Got to keep moving with this. This is so good to me. But watch this. Repeats of unresolved encourage more of the same. In other words, anything you continue to repeat, it encourages a habit. Like I said, you're developing a pattern by trying to stop the pattern. You're trying to break the rhythm of what it is that continues to bring hurt to your life, that continues to bring these types of places or attacks. And by repeating it, you're encouraging it to become more of a regular habit. And it's got to stop somewhere. If you keep repeating, you haven't learned. It's just that simple. If you keep dealing with it, I'm talking about me. Let me just talk about me for a minute. I keep dealing with the same stuff. I'm going to keep dealing with the same stuff. That means I'm not learning no lessons. I'm not getting any better. And at some point, we got to wake up from these foolish places that we continue to put ourselves in that does not produce any seed, because as the song said, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You need something tangible to offset these repeats in your life. What are you doing to offset your repeats? Number 3, same story, different face, same outcome. Watch this. Cycles are broken by, watch this. Here's 4 things on how cycles are broken, because we're dealing with that same story, different face. We're still dealing with the elements of, just because it's a different person in your life, or just because it's a different group in your life, or just because it's a different environment, does not mean that the atmosphere has changed. Just because you're in a different territory does not mean that the atmosphere of the territory has changed. And a lot of times we think that, if I just move to another city, and then whatever I was dealing with won't follow me. And that's not how you deal with. And you have to identify the pattern, which is deeper than, okay, if I'm dealing with a different person and it's still the same story, that means that there's a cycle that it needs to be broken. So how do we break cycles? Cycles are broken by 4 ways. Cycles are broken by what? Cutting ties immediately, by slowing the motion of direction down, but how we choosing to handle these cycles, reversing the direction or the direction or movement to change through change behaviors, reversing direction and movement from change behaviors, okay? Or putting a name to the pattern. Sorry about that little temporary place. Notes. But cycles are broken by cutting the ties immediately. Listen, sometimes that's the hardest because it's an emergency. Slip and then cut it off. Ain't no more. Sometimes slowing the motion of the direction down. Because sometimes when you get into a cycling motion and you're doing it over and over and over again, you have to slow down by changing the way you handle it a little differently every time. It's easier said than done. Either one is easier said than done, but I'm just giving you the tips on what you have to do. So if you want some things to be different, you have to slow down how you address it. If you're getting upset about or trying to forgive, you have to slow it down. Instead of ranting, take a second to say, okay, what do I need to really say? Instead of just saying what I feel. Reverse direction and movement by just changing your behavior. Behavioral changing is so important. Changing the behavior becomes so critical in how you want to work in this self-forgiveness place. If you want to change how you feel about things, you have to change the way your behavior is. Because if you're not seeing any results, it's because, like I said earlier, you haven't learned. Fourth thing is you want to put a name to the pattern. If you don't start identifying it, if things like, if it ends in a vague beginning, if it ends the vague, slow down. It ends the vague beginning with clarity. When you put a name to it, when you start identifying what it is that doesn't want to change in your life, these cycles, you are now giving it a name. I'm addressing it, and it has a shape, a form, and it has an identity. When you start to identify your cycles of what it is that you can't break, now you're getting more clarity from it. Watch this. When you start identifying it, you have to really identify why you feel a certain way. Be specific. You're angry with what they've done to you. Be specific in why you are angry about it. Why it's so hard to let go of. Why? Why is it so hard to let go of something? Why is it so hard to deal with something? Why is it so hard to confront? Why is it so hard to forgive? Why is it so hard to forgive myself? Why? Because I'm hard on myself, because I really want something to go a certain way and it's not going that way. Why? This is the why question. Watch this. Don't get lost in translation. Keep it simple and be specific. Stop trying to fill in the blanks of what it is that this pattern is named after, and just get to the point. Stay with the point and deal with the point. Last but not least, if you can't name it, it won't change. If you can't find a name for it, it's going to be a UFO, unidentified, fixed object on your life. You can't put a name to it, and you're like, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why I can't let go. You can't name it, then it won't change. You can't deliver what you can't be delivered from what you have no proper diagnosis of. If you don't know what it is, keep searching yourself to find out what it is so that you can get delivered from it. Catch this note on the way out. Patterns lose its power when it's exposed by the truth. Let's stay with the truth in this. Truth is, I'm upset about it. Truth is, I've been dealing with this over and over and over again, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. Truth is that I really want to hold on to this situation, this person, these people, this circumstance. I really want to hold on to it, but the truth is, it's not healthy for me. And I want to be better. I don't want to be this way this time next year. I don't want to be suffering from trying to forgive myself this time next year. I don't want to be fighting over this time next year. I want to be better. But I gotta start with self-forgiveness so that I can be what God intended me to be in forgiveness. Forgiveness has freedom. We have to make a decision only if we want freedom for ourselves. This is the journey. We believe in taking life one step at a time. Tune in tomorrow as we'll talk more about forgiveness starts with me.